Good evening, everyone. Please stand for the pledge. The meeting's going to start. First, we'll start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Present.
Sorry. Councilmember Ismail?
Here.
Supervisor Alvarez?
Here.
Councilmember Foreman?
Here.
Councilmember Rye?
Here. Okay, next up is the adoption of the agenda. I'd just like to add two items. One to accept the bid for the foundation for the new highway garage, and the second one will be for the erection of the new highway garage. I'll present it as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Harmon, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is acceptance of minutes. The November 16th and December 7th meeting. I present that as a motion to accept. Can I have a second?
Second.
Louise, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up is a public hearing introducing a local law amendment to Chapter 143 of the Town of Fishkill Code entitled Vehicle and Traffic, and add certain no parking, no standing signs and stop signs. So I'll make a motion to open up the meeting. Can I have a second?
Second.
Foreman, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so what we're doing is we're adding some stop signs and some no parking signs in the Town of Fishkill. And Mr. Gabbard, are we changing this to where we don't have to do public hearings anymore?
That's correct. That's correct. There's a provision in it saying that any further changes to traffic control devices can be done by resolution amending your schedules.
That's in there?
Excellent.
That's in there.
Excellent. So anybody want to speak about this? This is your opportunity. A simple one. No? No takers? Board members, any questions? Nobody? I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Harmon, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Liz is a little late, so I'm going to skip her. Number 2, she's on her way. So do we have any new employees today? I don't think so. Nope. Next up is privilege of the floor for general town items, so you can speak about any town item at this time. Nothing? Oh, boy. Okay. Privilege of the floor, general town items. I have no comments right now. We're up to liaison reports. We'll start with John. You got anything?
I'm fine, thank you.
Why?
Just a general conversation about the highway. I mean, I think they're in pretty good shape for the end of the year. What we're voting on tonight is just they're taking care of, paying a bill for a guy that's been trimming trees, etc. I asked what's going on for the storm that's coming, and they're trying to make sure that basins are cleaned out so rain, water can flow in, et cetera, et cetera. So everybody be cautious over this weekend. Enjoyed the senior party. That was fantastic. I'm not a liaison to the rec, but I will say that Jay and staff, and I know Louise will have more to expand upon, but Sarah, oh my gosh. I know, Louise, you'll have more to say, but when she was singing I Had a Dream from Les Mis, I was sitting in the back thinking, this young lady's a pro, and indeed she is. She was quite a treat, and a little touch of Broadway was there at this party. I'm just wondering, in a future conversation, if we're not ready tonight, that New York State Senate Bill 59131, property tax redux for firefighters, volunteer firefighters. I know that's, I don't know where that is as far as in committee or anything else, but that'll be worth discussing, seeing what the town is allowed to help volunteer firefighters. And lastly, I just want to say that I'm still ticked off at Central Hudson. I don't care about this report that's come out. Well, I do care about it because we had everybody testifying here. We had a packed room full of people, and we had all these people from Central Hudson sitting right here talking about how they care and they're going to work and da-da-da-da-da. And what does this report say? They knew that building system was flawed, and they rolled it out anyway, and they used everybody in their building population as a beta test, and they scared people to death. And they put fear into their hearts, and people can't afford these bills, and they knew it was wrong, and I am so disgusted. This company has gone from being a reliable local company to someone you can't trust. And I'm sorry, I'm just aggravated. That's my final thought.
Yeah, we shouldn't be selling our power companies to foreign entities. That's the problem. But that's above,
exactly.
That's above our pay grade.
Fortis.
Yes, it's above our pay grade. Councilman Esteban.
Good evening, everybody. I have my little bell. So if you can hear that jingle, you believe in Santa. Yes. Couple of reports. We have finished the fencing around our ball fields, so I want to thank the parks. They did a great job overall.
Craig.
With all the parks. The fences look great. Pretty excited about putting in our handicapped accessible play system in the spring. We're going to start planning that now. We have several bids that we're working on. Again, I'm talking about the rec center roof. We're getting closer every day. And that's all I have.
Can you give Greg you got any pictures of the fences, the new fence?
Yes.
Can you forward it to him, so we'll put that in our message to the citizens this Friday?
Yeah, no, same guy, just
Oh,
engineer. We're looking for
okay.
engineering.
Okay. I thought he had an engine.
He did.
Louise, you're next.
Let's see. Myself and County Legislator Yvette Valdez-Smith served our seniors lunch at the holiday lunch last week at the rec center. I want to clarify that the food was chicken marsala, not Frances. I said that to Greg, and it was put in the eGov wrong, and I got a few calls. I also wanted to express my thanks to Mary Ann, Jay, Lauren, and our interns from Dutchess Community College, Barbara and Amelia, and the workers Michael and Albert, who helped set up the event with Lauren and Mary Ann, as well as Lorraine DeMasi, who always helps Mary Ann create delicious meals. The rec center room was decorated beautifully with snowflake decorations. I think most of them were all handmade by Mary Ann. I believe it was the biggest crowd I have ever seen at a party. There were 115 people there. Councilmember Rye also stopped by to greet the seniors and wish them a happy holiday. It really was a really nice event. Altogether, from the food to the music to the cake at the end, everybody had a really nice time. A booklet was handed out at the lunch with the 2023 Rec Center Senior Luncheon Flyers. If someone did not get one, they can pick it up at the Rec Center. The next lunch party is a soup and sandwich one on January 26th, and they can contact Mary Ann for any info. I also wanted to thank Suzanne for organizing today's employee holiday lunch, Ugly Sweater Day. Everybody had a great time, and the food that she ordered was also very good. So thank you, Suzanne.
Done?
Yep.
Thank you. So our comprehensive plan lady is here, and we're ready for your scoping session update.
Okay.
Yep, perfect timing.
Sorry I'm a little bit late. My name is Liz Axelson. I'm the planner for the town board and the planning board from CPL. And let's see, the last action that the town board took was to set this scoping session and do a positive declaration and send out notifications to a pretty big list of agencies. So it was a pretty inclusive, interested agency list. Positive declaration, as you all know, means that the comprehensive plan update is likely to have a significant impact on the community, which I would suggest might be overwhelmingly positive or beneficial, but there are impacts that have to be explored in an environmental impact statement. The SECRA positive declaration was sent out along with a copy of a draft scoping outline and a copy of the draft comprehensive plan update. And tonight is the night to hear any commentary that the public or agencies might have. We did receive a letter dated December 20th to the town board, which I think you probably all have, from Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development.
And you read it?
I have read it.
All right, so let's start with that, please. So when they refer to the traditional neighborhood districts shown on map 5, what are they referring to?
They're referring to the 2009 plan. Map 5 shows some possible zoning. And apparently it's their observation that the traditional neighborhood districts that were recommended on map 5 of the 2009 comprehensive plan were not implemented.
Okay.
Which, that happens with comprehensive plans. You put together a set of recommendations and strategies for, implementing whatever the goals are in a comprehensive plan. So one of those goals that was represented in the 2009 plan was to do these traditional neighborhood districts. And I think what they're saying is that that should be reconsidered in the current plan. So
So-
that's something,
Those neighborhoods, were they commercial to residential? What were they looking to do?
off the top of my head, I don't know. I remember looking at that part of the 2009 comprehensive plan, and I think those would have been sort of compact neighborhood style, but what I don't know off the top of my head, not having the 2009 plan in front of me, is whether or not they were mixed-use option.
So in general, the town board can, not disregard it, but we can enforce our own zoning laws after if we wanted to make a change, correct?
Oh, certainly. I mean, this comprehensive plan update that you have now is talking about possible zoning amendments, but this comprehensive plan update doesn't include attached draft
Understood.
zoning. So that can be considered in the scope. It can also be considered in the, no? Okay,
Who's in
If I could, I'm
Speak up.
sorry, Liz.
please.
The county's response is to the General Municipal Law 239M referral. It has nothing to do with the scope, okay? Nothing to do with secret review.
Okay.
They're recommending that when you substantively decide to adopt this comprehensive plan, and you may make changes along the way.
Okay.
There are certain things that you may want to attach to it or revisit. These are not binding comments from the county, by
No.
the way. They're just recommendations.
Well, we
So it's not something that you want to consider in regard to your scope. Your scope is laid out as to what you're going to be looking at in this DGEIS.
Okay.
And the county's letter really doesn't have anything to do with it.
Okay, but since we're here and we have you, we don't know when you're going to see you. I'm not interested in doing that MAP 5 thing. Anybody else want to do the MAP 5 thing? I don't think it's necessary. I think if somebody wants a zoning change, they can come to the town board, and then we can judge it at that moment. There's no sense of changing the zoning law to benefit the developer for no reason.
I'm just going to grab a pen.
That's my thoughts.
I didn't know what it
Mr. Gabb is
entailed.
right, it's a scoping session, but since this is here, we might as well.
No, I just didn't know, it said shown on map 5. I had no map 5 to reference, so.
So my position is, if somebody wants to do a zoning change, they should bring it when they want to bring it, not in advance. I don't see why we should do that.
And Mr. Gaba, should we just say that these are comments on the plan that can be addressed later on, instead of,
Yeah,
like you're
they-
saying, they're
they
not
really-
scoping?
We're here now for a scoping session. If the board or any members of the public have comments on the, well done, I might add, draft scope that you prepared, now's the time for those comments to be made, suggestions as far as, well, I want to add something, or perhaps we've already looked at that, whatever it may be. If there are no comments, or if no one has any proposed changes, the board should proceed to adopt the draft scope, and then you can get to work on the DGEIS. If the board wishes to discuss the comments received from the county, that's fine, as far as that goes, but it's really not part of the scope.
I understand. So, again, I think this is going to come up again probably. I want to answer all of these while we have her here, so we know where we can go with this.
If I can just say, because these looked more like early comprehensive plan update comments, I didn't spend any time getting into them because I'm focused on the scoping. As Mr.
Of
Gallo
course.
was pointing out, that's what we're here for tonight.
And we all got this letter on the 20th, so it's...
Right. My understanding is that the last I understood from Emily Dozier from the county is that they would do their comments on the comprehensive plan update after the official referral, which hasn't been done yet. So I don't know that you need to be concerned about these at this time. It's up to you if you want to discuss it.
Then why they sent us this letter, and it says scoping on it? I understand what you said.
Supervisor, just comment.
Sure.
So, I think we're good. Move on.
Okay,
Yeah, I think move on,
all right,
you know.
okay. Any board members have any questions in your agenda packet regarding the scoping?
No.
Would you like to take any comments from the citizens, if anybody
Sure.
has any?
Why don't I stand down here and you can see if anybody would like to
I
comment?
have one quick question.
Yes.
Is this the only opportunity for the public to speak about the scoping?
It's the only opportunity for the public to speak about the scoping outline.
Right.
But later on,
There'll be other public comment regarding
Yes.
There'll be a full public hearing.
public hearing. Got it. Thank you.
public hearing on the draft GEIS and public hearing on the comprehensive
Okay.
plan update at the same time, is my understanding. Okay.
In March. That's to be in March, right?
What?
In March is the tentative hearing for both of those? Is that what you told me?
Well, if I'm updating, I'm trying to look ahead, for example, to the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee, to say, this is what's happening tonight, this is what may be happening in mid-February, and this is what may be happening later on.
Right, okay.
So, you know, the timeline is going to be adjusted every time we're
Gotcha.
having one of these steps. I do want to say to the board that at this point, I have kind of indicated that in all likelihood, I would be providing a draft generic environmental impact statement in early February, but out of respect for the timeline for your meetings, I would be providing it the week before, I think it's the February 15th meeting, because I think it's too close to call to try to do that for mid-January. So, if that's all right with the board, that's
Okay.
the next step I'd like to recommend.
All right, can you just give me your opinion on section 3, A and B? Page 11. Reasonable alternatives to be considered.
So the public knows what you're talking about, Supervisor. Can you explain what you're...
Yeah, it'll be
referring to?
alternative comprehensive plan update and code amendments. This alternative would focus on the CPO to include specific recommendations for code amendments.
Oh,
My concern is code amendments.
okay, so this is the scoping outline,
Okay.
and this is on page 3. In an environmental impact statement, you typically provide some sort of alternatives.
Okay, all right.
And for this particular purpose, the only alternatives that I could think a town might consider when they have a draft comprehensive plan update in front of them that does not include any kind of zoning proposals attached to it would be to try to, an alternative might be to do one with code amendments. And so the discussion of that alternative would talk about how that would be different and why that wasn't really intended, at least by the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee.
Okay.
But it would talk about what the potential effects might be. And the no-action alternative is simply to explore the possibility of this draft comprehensive plan update being presented and reviewed, and then the town board not adopting it. What would be the effect of that?
Understood. Anybody else have any questions?
No, so good.
Anybody in the public? Chairman? Let the chairman speak.
Good evening, and seasoned greetings to the board. I wasn't sure, so I'm Jonathan Cantor, Chair of the Town of Fishkill Planning Board. Wasn't sure if the Planning Board's letter made it to the board members. Okay, so I'm seeing some head shaking, yes. But anyway, I brought the letter with me, and I thought I would just read it into the record. It's
Sure.
really pretty short.
Absolutely.
And
It's 2 paragraphs.
so, dear Supervisor Alva and town board members, thank you for the opportunity to comment on the town's draft CPU, and in particular, the proposed secret process and the draft scoping outline for a generic environmental impact statement, or GEIS. The Town of Fishkill Planning Board discussed the draft CPU and scoping outline at our meeting on December 8th, 2022, and has authorized me to submit this letter to the town board on behalf of the planning board. The Town of Fishkill Planning Board is supportive of the progress of the draft CPU process, the proposed seeker process with a GEIS, and a draft scoping outline for a GEIS scheduled for a public scoping session at the December 21st town board meeting. The planning board looks forward to reviewing and commenting on the draft CPU in more detail in the near future when a public hearing on the CPU is scheduled. Town of Fishkill Planning Board. So that's it. And I could make a very quick follow-up on the 2009 plan and the county's comments on the traditional neighborhood types of development. It is basically a mixed-use type of a zone. It would be taking, for instance, what maybe was formerly a shopping center and changing the zoning so there would be more flexibility for a developer to come in and have mixed residential, commercial, or other types of development. And it's kind of in the new urbanist theory of planning, providing the ability for a developer to, for instance, have ground floor retail with apartments above those. I think You know, actually, the town of Fishkill's code does have provisions that would allow for that kind of thing already. And so that may be one reason why that specific type of a zone wasn't pursued by, you know, town boards, your board, or the preceding town board. So, you know, I think that's also a reason why the Comprehensive Plan Committee didn't really think it was necessary to follow up on the fact that that hadn't been adopted as a specific zone, because there already are zoning provisions that would allow flexibility. So, anyway, that's my take on it.
Well done. Any
Thank you,
questions
Mr.
from Mr. Cantor?
Yeah, any
Good.
questions? I think the planning board is looking forward to taking a closer look at the actual CPU draft and having comments when a public hearing is set.
Okay. Well done.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Cantor.
you. Thank you for serving on the committee. Liz?
Just out of full disclosure, a colleague of mine reached out to me on my cell phone. I never saw the voicemail, and I saw the text at the very end of the day, and he was asking if he could email me comments on the scope. And he had emailed it to my inbox, so I didn't look at it, and I texted him and said, I can't receive it. You must send it to the town clerk's office. So something will be coming in, I guess.
What's his name?
Rick O'Rourke.
For what project?
It was about the scoping session tonight, apparently.
Was that the, about the land next to Van,
I don't know.
I got an email.
I very specifically.
Was that Mr. O'Rourke?
I said he should send it to Cooper or to Becky.
I got it right here. I have it right here. So what's he want us to do?
I don't know.
Well, what he's looking to do, Mr. O'Rourke, our client, Davis Fowler Group, has a property located on Snook Road, designated as parcel number 468-570. This property is presently zoned R40, which is housing, and is listed in the development potential summary table of the latest comprehensive draft revision dated November 8th, 2022. This property, bordered by its north side of Interstate 84 and in proximity equally to heavily traveled New York State Route 9, is property most suitably zoned for commercial, industrial, and institutional uses, or any zoning designations other than residential. So basically, this property is zoned residential, and this property has been trying to get this to go to commercial for years. I believe I was approached many times for a hotel on this site. That's my opinion, that's my comment. And I'll continue with the letter. That such as the case is readily apparent by noting its location, its surrounding area, consistent of considerable commercial and retail development. This property, which has been previously received approval for a 90,000 square foot building, which has included a 1,000-seat church, school, administrative office, is a prime location for quality economic development. It's simply not suitable for residential development bordering a highly traveled interstate highway. Notwithstanding the aforementioned facts and conditions of the draft comprehensive plan, sets forth no recommendation for rezoning. As part of the scope, and careful consideration should be provided to examine the use more suitable for this property, given its prior history, location bordering Interstate 84, its proximity to New York State Route 9, and its development potential. It is simply, it simply is presently improperly zoned out of alignment with the appropriate careful planning considerations. Please include this in your comments regarding the scope and session this evening. This has come up a lot. The residents.
I think that's not really a scope. Correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't sound like a scope.
Well, I'm just going to let you.
It sounds like spot zoning.
Well,
That sounds like.
I think he has to read it, so I read it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be obviously advantageous for his client if the comprehensive plan came out and said, you ought to rezone this property, or that it's not properly zoned. The comprehensive plan doesn't delve into any particular property and say, you ought to rezone this or rezone that. It's more of a generic, you need to look at things and decide if it's in keeping with your development. So Mr. O'Rourke's advocating for his client. It really has nothing to do with the scope, since that particular item isn't in the comprehensive plan. He wants you to revise the comprehensive plan to conclude it. So you take it under advisement as far as that goes, but I don't see that as being any grounds to change one word in the scope.
Yeah, and the residents have made it clear to me they don't want commercial in that spot. So.
And me as well.
And why change the zoning to benefit the developer when we don't have to? All right. So I read his letter, Ms. Axelson. I read his letter to you.
Okay, and so I don't know that, do you want to see if there are any other scoping comments, or?
Yeah. Anybody from the audience like to say anything? No? Okay.
Do you have a motion to close the scoping session then?
Motion to close the scoping session.
Did I make a motion to open it?
It's scheduled, you can just
I did
announce
say yes?
it's being open. You
Okay.
can make a motion to open it if you're so inclined, but you're not required to.
You sure I said it? Did I open it?
No.
I did not open it?
No, you just invited.
At the same time?
It wasn't
When
required?
it's on the agenda, if the chairman announces we're now starting, just like with a public hearing, we're now
Okay, so we
starting.
just close it right now?
But you do need a motion to close.
Okay. I'll present a motion to close the scoping session. Can I have a second?
Second.
Carmine, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Liz. Thank you, Mr. Cantor. Thank you, Mr. Alvarosa, for working on this. It's a long, oh, I forgot this, Mr. Cantor, too. We got two Cantors here. Thank you for doing this. This was a lot of hard work, and we're starting to see the end zone here. So I appreciate it, guys. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and everything else.
Are you guys going to be there?
Yeah, then you have it under consent
Good night.
agenda.
Okay, all right, so I can...
You can go. You're good to go. It's the easy one tonight, Liz.
Good night, everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Liz, take care.
All right, next up is department status report. The first one will be a presentation from the town clerk. We have right here our wonderful town clerk, Becky Tompkins.
Did you hear it, Becky?
Good night. Happy holidays.
All right, I had previously passed out a report showing my financials from the beginning of the year till the end of November, okay? I just want to let you read this to you, that the mission of my town clerk's office is to serve the residents, employees, and visitors of the town of Fishkill in an efficient, courteous, and professional manner, while performing the functions and duties of the office in accordance with state, county, and municipal laws. Everything I do is governed by a law. I don't make it up as I go, I promise. Currently, our office manages 1,990 dog licenses annually. 1,053 licenses have been issued as new or renewed during this time frame. This is an increase in licensed dog sales from prior years. Revenue for this was $8,606, which includes the senior discounts, because the town is kind enough to, we waive the fees for seniors except for what I'm required to send to the state, their money. Okay? And we do have some exempt licenses where they don't have to pay anything for like service dogs and stuff like that. And replacement tags. All municipalities have to pay the state a portion of the fees collected, $3 for an unspayed, unneutered dog and $1 for a spay-neutered dog. I have distributed $1,217 of the total to the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets to date, well, to the end of November. There have been 459 disability parking permits issued or renewed, and this is at no cost to the residents, and this is an increase from 310 permits issued in 2021. The town clerk's office offers notary public services free of charge to the residents. Cooper, my deputy, has passed his notary exam and is now a notary public. He did his first notary today. So exciting.
There you go.
322 FOIL requests have been received and processed during the first 11 months of the year. There were 320 total for 2021. So you can see we're already doing even more FOILs. Our office issued 67 marriage licenses, and I have submitted $1,507.50 to the New York State Department of Health. This is an increase from the past few years. Because of COVID, there was no marriage licenses done for a couple of years. So we're back to normal. Our office gave out 149 Friendly Paws Park permits, and the revenue collected for that does not go into the town clerk's budget. From my understanding, it goes into the Parks Department's budget line. We just collect it and turn it over, like we do most of our revenue. We've also taken on another task. Our office now issues the low-cost space certificates for residents for their cats, And this has been a very welcome and very successful program. The residents love it. It was really a great thing you guys did. I hope you're going to do it again for next year. We've processed 11 genealogy searches, and this is a very, very slow, arduous task because our records go back to 1882, and they're all handwritten and extremely difficult to read. But the new Laserfiche program we had all the records scanned into is actually helping speed that process up, because it's a hard one. We have assisted 94 individuals with their hunting and/or fishing licenses. Issuing agents, we only receive a very small stipend for this service, and to date, we've only actually been able to keep $341.80 out of the thousands that we collect. And we've paid out $6,229.20 to the DEC. We get virtually nothing, but that's okay. We like to see all of our hunters and stuff come in. They're so nice. Since the town administration encourages continuing education and training, in 2021, I received my Certified Municipal Clerk's designation and my Athenian Leadership Fellow designation. And I'm continuing to work towards my Masters of Municipal Clerk, and I'm almost there. I almost have my master's, so thank you for keeping that in my budget line. It's great. I attended the IIMC Region 1 Conference in Sturbridge, Mass., the New York State Town Clerks Association Conference in April, the IIMC Conference in May in Little Rock, Arkansas. Thank you. And it's called NEMC. It's New England in Chatham, Massachusetts. And I participated in 2 Athenian leadership dialogues and 4 webinars. Cooper has begun his education process and has attended multiple conferences and classes prior to coming to the town of Fishkill, because he came with experience. And so far, in the 6 months that he's worked here, he went to the New York State Town Clerks Association Conference in Albany in April and has done 3 webinars. And together, since being together, Cooper and I have hosted the low-cost rabies clinic and the pet adoption event. And my future goals for my department continues to be keeping up with the advances in technology, education, and the practices that serve the residents in a timely and professional manner. Does anybody have any questions based on that report you saw, or?
John?
I'll go after
Please.
John.
Thank you for coming here tonight. You're always here at our meetings, but now you're over there. You know, when you requested some more help in your clerk's office, I don't want to speak for the town board, but I think everybody on the town board said, if Becky needs help, we got to give her help. So
And I appreciate it.
obviously, your department's very busy. Nobody wants to hear at the diner that, you know, it's taking me 3 weeks to get my marriage license or dog license. And that's why when you said you needed help, I think the town board said, just give her
Well-
what she wants. And you hired who you wanted, and everything's working
And you
out pretty good.
You don't know how much that's appreciated, because as the population has increased, of course, our workload has increased, and it was just time.
I'm stunned at how many FOIL requests you get.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
talk to me a little bit about categories about who's asking, not personally, but
No.
for what?
The majority is realtors and stuff who need building department records. If they're not the property owner, they have to submit a FOIL.
So real estate transactions?
Oh, yeah, and police reports. Those are the 2 major areas.
Got it.
People want police reports and building files.
Now, when you say police report,
Well, if people FOIL tons of police stuff, and they don't just give them out, they have to go through the FOIL process.
is it attorneys or other governments?
No, it's personal, it's you.
Car accident, stuff like that.
Okay.
No, auto accidents, they can pretty much just get, and they can
They
get
get a
that
copy
through
of
a
the
state
police station.
website. But it's more,
Complaints.
like for their insurance companies or witness statements
Yeah.
and things like that. They
Stunned at how many FOIL requests you get.
it is a huge part of the day.
Okay. I yield my time to Brian.
And we move on those flows very quickly, because this town is committed to open government.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. There was a time back in the day where foils were held up purposely.
That's not the case today.
Oh, gosh, no, it hasn't been for a couple of decades.
Okay, decades. Years?
Yes.
Didn't I
Decades,
read,
years?
by the way, I love that sweater.
I didn't get a chance to go home after the lunch, I'm so,
I just thought I'd bring the spotlight to it.
well, gee, thanks.
As if it's not getting it on its own. Didn't I read somewhere that you, pardon me if I'm about to embarrass myself, but weren't you awarded some, is there an award or some significant office you were voted for in the associations you're with? Can you?
I am the president of the Dutchess County Town Clerks Association.
There you go. Way to go. That's our Becky.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
I'm proud of the office.
Yeah, good.
And clerks, I have always felt, don't get enough recognition, so I'm trying to make a few changes in that area.
Good.
With education, and I'm almost done with my master's.
That's pretty
In clerks,
impressive.
it's a separate, it's not like a college, it's a separate clerks. It's internationally based. So if you want to put in the budget next year that there's a study abroad program, and I think,
Oh, really?
Well, Carmine's got a question.
yes, sir.
Thank you, Becky.
Louise?
That was it.
Great job, Becky.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank you. All right, next presentation will be our Town of Fishkill videographer's presentation for the process of holding video conference board meetings. So we might change our law to allow if a member of the board is absent for a sickness or something to participate video conference-wise. And there may be some things that we have to fix or do before we can do that. So this is why we have Pete, the guy that tapes all these meetings and gets the stuff on YouTube and all this other good stuff. Welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, out from my room for a change, in front of everybody. So I was forwarded the information from our town attorney about the, which I always called the ever-changing plan of the governor in Albany, when it came to hybrid, when it came to Zoom, when it came to we're extending it. Now we're not going to extend it. Now we finally kind of have a policy in place. To execute that policy is a little tricky. As most of you know, I have 6 different municipalities that I work with. The only one where we're currently doing it is in the city of Beacon. So I figure let me start there to let you guys know what we did to make it work. The first thing that has to be done is the town needs their own Zoom license. In the past, when we were doing it through the pandemic crisis, the former attorney's office would run the Zoom and we'd have people in and I'd have to be invited as a participant and run it through. And Greg and I would be running to pull speakers over to another laptop over there, and it was a mess. It was an absolute mess. The Zoom has to be run from here. And secondly, I can't do it.
Well, what's the cost of the Zoom license?
The basic,
It's not much.
I mean, what Beacon ended up doing is they have more expensive ones, around $200 a month, because they actually use it for their interdepartment meetings. They took Zoom to another level almost at the get-go. So doing the security was a little suspect as well, so they went with the better one, which includes webinars. I want to say you could probably have 1,000 participants if need be.
Is that Teams?
What's that?
Teams?
It's still the Zoom, but it's a higher level, and it also includes a different, like what we do in Beacon is we actually have webinars. We don't have Zoom meetings. So there's a lot more security control, and the mayor's secretary runs the Zoom from his office. He's not even in the room like we are here. The big reason for that is it's an audio issue. When you have too many laptops in the Zoom, you're going to get crisscross feedback, like I don't have to tell you, Greg, how many times we went through that in different meetings.
I remember watching a few.
So there's a separation that has to go on, so we would need an additional laptop and someone to run that right off the bat. I would get the signal from here, from whoever's physically present with the physical audio, and I become one of the Hollywood squares on that Zoom. So
So you and then another person we need?
you would need someone from the town to run the Zoom, because I can't do both.
You can't do both.
No.
Pete, in the city of Beacon, is everybody on their computer Zooming? There's nobody in person and Zooming? Is it all everyone?
No, it's how they work, and this is where I would defer to the attorney, is that term extenuating circumstances. Has anybody really explained that? Like the participation, who determines the extenuating circumstances that a voting board member can attend? Is it the municipality, or did that come from Albany? Because from what I understand, our attorney in Beacon asked that question and never got an answer.
I read that too, and it seems open.
So that's something that really needs to be defined. What's an extenuating circumstance that one of you folks should be allowed to Zoom?
Well, it's an unexpected and substantial circumstance that prevents the person from attending the meeting. The examples given in the law are as if someone is ill, if someone who you're a caregiver for is ill or injured, if there's a death in the family. It isn't open-ended, though, as you say, and a municipality can extend it to things like unavoidable business travel.
Yeah.
If there was some other circumstance that came up, the person just had to be somewhere. Now, it's a little tricky in that you have to give notice of these meetings.
Right.
So it's got to be unexpected, but not too unexpected, or you're not going to have time to give the notice of the meeting. So, it's one of those things that the person who claims the substantial unexpected circumstance has to be taken at their word. You're not going to have situations where you have a board sit down and say, he says he's sick, but I don't. But no. They submit a thing that says they have COVID or what have you, and they're going to be, in seclusion for 5 days. You just have to accept that. But it has to be something that would actually fall within the enumerated and the things that naturally follow from the enumerated circumstances. It can't just be, I don't feel like going to the meeting. Here's my note.
Could we set it up to where we just use one of the board members are sick, I put them on speakerphone and run the meeting that way? Can I do that?
It can't be speakerphone. The law specifically says it has to be video and audio.
Yeah.
Both.
Understood. And the public has to be able to participate. If you have one of these kind of hybrid in-person and
I've done a bunch of them.
Zoom meetings, the public has to be able to participate by Zoom remotely.
So if one councilman is on Zoom, on video, that means we have to open it to the public to do the same thing.
That's exactly right.
Correct. And where that council person is, actually becomes another public meeting site.
Yes.
So when sometimes the mayor was out, the way it was explained to him, if he wanted to Zoom in from his Cape Cod home, technically, the City of Beacon resident could go knocking on his door and say, I want to be.
That's a different section of the law.
Yeah.
That's different from this new law. That law was not repealed, and it's still in place. That's one of the reasons nobody ever does it, because you have to let somebody into your house in Cape Cod. But this new one does not have that requirement.
It does, okay.
The people participating remotely can be alone in their home or wherever it is, and you don't need to allow the public. You do have to allow the public into the area where the quorum is present, however.
Right. The other...
So let me get this straight. If we enacted this and a board member is sick and wants to participate in a board meeting remotely, for that meeting, anybody in the town or anybody anywhere has to be allowed to be also?
There is a separate section of the law that allows board members to participate remotely in meetings. It does not require video. You can do it by audio if you want to, but if you proceed under that section of the law, then the place where you're at, your living room, wherever it is open to the public the same as the town hall meeting room, which is one reason it's almost never used, because it would be a very odd circumstance that you would do that.
Mr. Gaba, did they have to have video and audio in order to vote? I thought the previous one you had to show video.
Under the new law, the law that we're talking about now, yes, you need video and audio. Under the old law, you could just have audio.
Understood.
Opens up a kettle of fish.
It does, because my next question, or my next statement, which I didn't know if you have some more insight on, was the Holtz transcript issue. That once a voting member is out and participating in this new fashion, anybody from the public can request a full written transcript of that meeting. It opens up another section. We did this a couple times up in the town of Hyde Park because the planning board we were doing hybrid. I don't know, Becky would probably have an idea of transcription prices, but they can go from 25 to 50 cents a page. The prices that I got as well, now, the transcript on Zoom and on YouTube is not good enough, because it's not verbatim. But what would end up happening, let's say we got the transcript, Becky or somebody in her office would actually have to take that transcript and make sure they put the person's name next to it, because a transcript company does not necessarily know who's speaking, they're going to see the meeting. So that opens up another avenue for that.
So here we, okay. I thought it was a good idea, so we could just keep some sort of continuity. It just seems like it would get out of control and it's way too much, so I'm going to withdraw my proposal.
Yeah, I was hoping we could just get you on speakerphone for a vote. That's what I was hoping.
But from what I understand, Mr. Gadd, the idea of a consultant coming in hasn't changed. You could still allow let's say your planner, like we had in Hyde Park one time, the planner was in Indiana for a certain project, and they allowed him to Zoom in, but all the board members of the planning board were there. That part hasn't changed, from what I understand.
It's like when
Consultants.
you had the public hearings about the cell phone towers, and you had that expert from Manhattan that was on the screen.
Yeah.
So that continues, but that doesn't require
Right.
anybody in the world
But
to be able to.
even with that, we had audio issues.
Oh,
because-
horrible.
Yeah, because you have to crisscross it, and again, the idea being is, what I have in Beacon is I have the mayor's secretary runs the Zoom. So he lets in, he knows who to let in and when they let in, when they raise their hand, and he knows, like if the town attorney, city attorney is zooming in, which they do a lot because their office is down in White Plains, he knows who to let in and who not. I get the audio feed from him that I can then pump out to the room so everybody can hear each other and see each other on the screens, and whoever's zooming in can see the big screen, which is me, of all of you. So there has to be a cohesive crisscross.
It's a whole production we don't want to get into,
Yeah.
so.
All right, thank you, Pete. We
Okay.
appreciate your time.
Thank you very
Of course,
much.
John?
Since you're here, I'm not going to speak for the board, but I think I can. Thank you for everything that you do for this
quite
town.
Sure.
Especially Brian and I being on the comprehensive plan update committee. You're always there for us.
My pleasure.
We appreciate you.
My pleasure.
You're there for almost every extra activity, too.
I do.
And you're awesome.
It's good to give back once in a while for stuff, so it's all
Where's your
good.
son? Where's your son that you're
He's
filming?
here today.
He's working, he's in there. You got him down. The other thing that I want to mention while I'm up here, I noticed, I don't know if it was Greg or Mike, you guys finally created a playlist on
I
YouTube?
believe that was actually Debbie Colonna who did
Debbie,
that.
which is a good thing for the town, because now that we have enough meetings on YouTube, we can put the actual playlist for each board separately, so people don't have to scroll through 50 meetings to find something. So eventually in the next few weeks, you'll see, on the website, you'll see town board meetings, planning board, zoning board, so people can just hit that playlist, and it'll be in date order. Makes it a lot easier. But that I do follow that. You guys have quite a few people watching these things. I mean, in the hundreds. Facebook, I can't follow once I post it. I don't know, it's tough, but it's a lot. You have a lot of exposure, which is good.
Can you tell how many people watch from home with the TV?
No one
No.
can do that, right?
All I can deal with is the sound issues that seem to never end with that.
Yeah.
I actually had an issue with Hyde Park. I spoke to the technician that I know, and Optimum is no closer to going high-definition video and audio above Westchester, so
No, she asked, can you tell how many people watch these board meetings?
on TV, I can't, no. I mean, we have an idea, like I said, through the YouTube, the watches and
That's-
rewatches are
yeah.
hundreds and hundreds. It's,
Okay.
but, all right.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, same to you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, now we're on to discussion. The first one was the discussion of the video conferencing. Let's close that. Everybody okay with that?
Yo, yeah.
That's done. Next up is discussion to expand the Town of Fishkill War Memorial to include additional theaters of conflict. So what do we got here?
We have our.
Can we talk
Veterans
about it first?
Advisory.
Yeah.
Committee.
Yeah, can we talk about it first?
Yeah, Louise, go first.
So I don't think this is something new. I think it's old that we've talked about in the past since the supervisor and I have been on the board. And I believe the last we left off, it was Greg was going to look into trying to formulate a list of people to put together to put, to add to it. So I'm not sure where we went from there.
If I remember correctly, that was one of the items which we had agreed might be something for the Fishkill Veterans Committee to work on and submit a proposal.
Nope, I don't think we did that.
Is that
was
something?
not anything
Virgil,
we did.
can you come?
Wait.
When was that, Greg?
I may have a mistaken recollection on that, but I thought that that was something which, when he was speaking with the town board and the Veterans Committee was being founded, that Virgil had expressed an interest in. He can correct me if I'm mistaken on that.
I'm just saying this was like a year and a half ago that you were supposed to be working on it. So I just didn't know if you had an update from then when you were supposed to be working on it.
No, there was no update on that point. There was an individual in the community who we had reached out to contact, but we weren't able to link up with that person to assist with research.
Okay. All right, so Virgil, you got something that you want to say?
I can help with it.
Come to the microphone. First of all, I put Virgil on the spot, and I said, there are these two items. Please come down here and help us discuss them. And he came. Thank you, Virgil.
Sure thing. As far as this goes with expanding it, I don't mind helping. I'm sure some of the other members wouldn't mind either. I don't remember a particular board meeting where that was discussed.
No.
I remember some bits and pieces of other conversations where it may have been mentioned, but nothing kind of articulating exactly what.
No, not that. I don't remember this either.
But once again, though, that's easy enough. I mean, there's multiple conflicts, you know, and we have vets throughout that have served in various events.
Are we talking like Desert Storm and?
That'd be one of them. I mean, we also have some Marines with Grenada or Beirut.
The
So,
Spanish-American War? Spanish-American War? There's nothing there for the Civil War?
There's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so we got World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and Korea, I believe, and Vietnam.
That's the principal ones, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys want to add maybe Spanish-American War?
Well, I don't know. Virgil, do you want to?
Well, that would be a little deeper dive, although Fishkill does have a pretty rich history with that war, with that.
Yeah, we're going to name a road after a young man that was very popular in the town, Sidney Schofield, no related to the ones in the highway department now, but he was killed like he was 19, and it was a big thing in Fishkill at the time.
Is this something that maybe, I don't want to put you on the spot, I don't know the demands on your time, but is there some sort of list starting with Spanish-American War that maybe you come back with and we could discuss?
How about our historian? Maybe he can help.
And the historian too, yeah.
I'd be willing to set aside whatever time is necessary. I mean, this is important enough.
So how about, Virgil, how about we see if we could do War 1812, Spanish-American War, Desert Storm? Let's focus on one of those three. Maybe we do something for one of those three conflicts this year.
That's fine, and I'll run by a list of what we're able to get, and then whichever ones you suggest we pursue, we do.
And especially one that, like I said, the Spanish-American, we knew there was a Fishkill resident that was killed in combat, so that might be one that. Well,
It's always better if we could tie it back to the town with an individual, I
Yes.
agree. However, like I said, I'm open to suggestions.
So can you work with the town historian and figure this out?
I can.
Supervisor, is there like a certain rule that, I know there's names on there, but it doesn't clarify like were they actually in conflict or just in the Navy? 'Cause I know
we had it, the
originally it
original.
would have been like 2 people, right, or 3 people?
The original war memorial was in front of Town Hall, and they had their names on it, and then they had a star on it if they were killed in combat. Then they reversed it and put the black marble on top of it, so you don't know if they were killed in combat or not. I don't know why they did it that way, but that's what they did.
Or like even in a conflict?
That's how they did it. It's
The
beautiful.
star is the designator for killed in action.
And we don't have to, in War of 1812, it doesn't have to, it could just be a dedication to veterans of 1812. We don't have to have any names on it.
I agree.
So it doesn't have to be name specific.
Well, we have the dog statue.
The dog statue is not name specific, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be, it can be something, whatever the size of those signs are out, the plaques out there, about the same size. We can fit something on it, it's good to go.
Right, I mean, the purpose of it is to commemorate the event.
Yes.
As well as bring it back to the town, so I'm game.
All right, so the 3 months?
Yes.
First meeting in, table this at the first meeting in March?
Or you just let us know when you're ready.
Like I said, we can get on this pretty quick and,
Well, if you could do it earlier, I could just put it on the agenda earlier, not a big deal.
All right, yeah.
Thank you, Virgil.
I'll get you something.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Virgil.
Next up is signage for the town war memorial. We have a beautiful war memorial, as you see us talking about over the years, but there's trees there's no sign, so we're trying to figure out how we can grab attention to it. This was a proposal a couple of years ago. It didn't fly by the previous board, and I want to get your opinion on it this time.
I like it.
You?
I mean,
Okay, Brian.
Go on, John. Brian. I'm sorry, Brian. That's it? You like it?
I like it.
That's your comment?
That's all I got.
John?
Looks good to me.
You want me, okay.
I like it, Mr. Supervisor. Question I have for you, do you have any costs associated with this?
It was killed before I got to that point, so if we got a majority of the board to look at it, I'll get a cost.
Because I think if we put them up in like a metal pipe, it would be
I was
very...
thinking porcelain, so it'll last forever, something really nice. And the issue with this is we have to get licensing too. So you can't buy them and put them up, you have to get permission to put them up.
For the new board who didn't watch the meetings previously, about 2 years ago, I was not for it. I think the rec center likes their rec center sign to be used for the rec center. This looks like, some people said that was the war memorial as you're driving by. So that was one of the issues. The cost was the other issue. And the suggestion that I think we left on was a sign that says War Memorial this way with an arrow. And I believe it was a citizen from Wappinger that was looking into a possible cannon, small cannon that we were going to maybe do, but I don't know if that was ever followed up with.
Nope.
So for myself, I don't like the idea of it being on the sign, and I think we should have a smaller one with an arrow just pointing to it.
So you guys okay with looking for a cost for this?
Yeah, I mean, look into it, but, I'm open to, considering what Louise is saying. I understand that, but I do like the idea of emphasizing our veterans out there and utilizing that space if we can, and hopefully if we can get a certain project going, we may be able to get some landscaping done for free that really can make that attractive. There's a lot of things behind the scenes working on right now.
Yeah, you drive by that and you see these military seals, you're gonna see it.
Yeah.
It's gonna grab your attention. These are pretty beautiful seals. You got the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine. So, Michael, Greg, I want to work on this tomorrow. Okay. See if we can get a cost on this.
Mr. Supervisor, if you make that actually color, and maybe we can stick a couple plants, I can help design, the landscape design, I think that'll really pop. And we never put plants in front of the sign. I know people can't see it, what we're looking at right now, but we can really make that
Pop.
very nice. And we could add an arrow on the bottom,
I mentioned that.
pointing to the back.
They didn't want to do that last time.
So we can
I was going to put the
incorporate-
arrow right here, right there.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Well, I think the point was when you're driving by to be able to recognize it quickly as you're driving by what it is, not to have to stop and look and admire it. It's more of something telling you where to go to actually see it.
So
That
Coropian
the
was
point
working
of
on
it.
that? So you don't want you to do it, Greg.
And I
Contact
think
Coropian.
we used to have beautiful flowers in the war memorial, but they were removed, so we don't have them anymore.
We got a beautiful garden now.
Garden, right.
Okay, all right, so I'll move on that. All right, thank you. Same thing, it's 3 months, whatever, what the other one was.
Table first meeting in March.
Discussions, 1, 2, affordable housing for disabled. Number 4, discussion of affordable housing for disabled veterans and volunteer firemen. Carmine, you have any comments on this?
I don't. I just want to see what your thoughts are on this.
With the new law from the state?
You want me to discuss
Yes.
that? I know Brian touched base on a little bit about there was a new bill that was just passed in Assembly and the state about giving a property deduction to volunteer firefighters and ambulance. I would like to sponsor this, to move this forth, and once we get under, stuff for new business, I would like to present this to be on the agenda for next month, and I would like to be one of the first towns to really look into this, look at the costs and see if we can identify how many volunteer ambulance and firefighters we have in the town, and if we could save them a little bit of money on their taxes, maybe this will help boost getting new volunteers, and also I think we have to define a way to see if they're actually, going to fire calls. And if the town board would let me, I would reach out to each chief of each firehouse to identify how many residents are in each fire district, or in each fire.
Yeah, we're going to have to make sure that they show up to calls and just don't show up and get the benefit.
Well, Carmine, I mean, this is something that, I brought up myself a couple of meetings ago, or a meeting ago anyway. It's of great interest to myself, and I know John and I have been working with all the fire districts, and this is brought to my attention by John Lucarello in pursuit of how we're working with all the fire districts. So I think we could all team up to work on this, because I think it's very important. But it's sort of as a continuum of what we've been doing. So, in fact, I wanted to reach out to the Senate and see what the status is on this thing. And
It's been signed by the governor.
it's already signed. That's what I thought. So.
I have the bill, if you want me to forward the bill to you. I don't know if you read the bill.
No, actually, I looked at it. I thought it was a draft, but I did look at it.
Yes,
So
I read the bill.
Let's talk about it and work on it together. I think
No,
it's.
Brian, you can actually run with it. I don't need the notoriety. Notoriety. I'm not actually doing it.
No.
You can run with it. I'm about getting things done, and if you think you can get it done, go ahead, go for it.
John?
Supervisor, so is this, it wouldn't be affordable housing, this would be more of a tax exemption discussion?
Not a tax exemption, a 10% discount on their assessed value.
Is that a tax exemption?
It's a
Okay,
10% exemption from assessed value. They call it an exemption. It isn't really. What it is 10% of the value of the property.
So if your house is 300 grand, it'd be worth 270.
And is it just for town taxes?
Yeah, so
Just town.
Just town taxes?
It's a strangely worded law.
the current law, so on a house that's assessed for 300,000, the eligible first responder would get an assessment of 297,000. So really peanuts. Yeah, that's the current law. There are some counties that have a waiver, and they get the full 10%. The law that was just passed gives the full 10%, so a house that's assessed for 300,000, you'd get, the new assessment would be for 270.
Perfect.
It's going to be afforded to all the municipalities. They're all going to have to buy in and pass their own adoption of their own laws.
And I was confused momentarily with.
I think.
I know that the Senate did pass this. I was just confusing it with Dutchess. I think Dutchess is still working on their legislation.
Dutchess County.
Dutchess County.
Yeah.
I think it's not quite passed yet, but they're doing something
But you see,
significant.
that's the thing.
So we have to do a public hearing?
You have to do a full local law with a public hearing, but the way the law is worded, it appears, to me at least, and I'm going to check with the Association of Towns and all that, that every municipal taxing entity would have to pass their own authorizing legislation. In the case of a school district or what have you, would be a resolution to give this 10% tax exemption to the volunteer firefighters and ambulance corps volunteers. So it almost looks as though when the town does it, it's 10% off, but only in regard to town taxes.
Yes.
Not school district, not county.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not special district.
They would all have to pass their own.
Right, so the
buy-in.
assessor's going to be pulling her hair out because of, how to figure this out if in fact, hopefully everybody would be in unison and they would all do it and it wouldn't be an issue. But if, the town says we're going to give this exemption and the school district says no, then obviously only the portion of the tax bill that's attributable to town taxes.
I'm fine with that.
I'm the liaison to the schools. I'd be happy to meet with both school districts to talk about this.
Now,
At the appropriate time.
Well, that's the thing. You see, in order to qualify for this tax exemption, the law says that you must apply for it prior to taxable status date, which I believe is March 1st. So if you want to have your volunteer firemen and ambulance corps members be able to take advantage of this year, you're going to have your local law enacted no later than February, and you're going to have some sort of a public education so that they know to apply for it. Going to need to coordinate that with your assessor as well, so that they'll be able to handle the incoming claims. Now, if you don't mind it till next year, that's just fine. Then you have a whole year to act
Well,
on
to
it.
do it this year, we would have to have it done by the second January meeting.
Well, no, you could have it done in February.
No,
so
because we have to no, we would have to set the public hearing.
you have to introduce the law in January, hold the public hearing in February.
Yeah, but we
and then
have a
enact it
10-day,
right
we have a 10-day notice. And if we do it at the first February meeting, it won't be 10 working days, it'll be 9.
Well, that's
So
why
we
you
would
would
have to
introduce it in January
we have to vote.
and schedule the public hearing for February.
No, we would have to have the public hearing in the second meeting of January to do that.
Why?
It's a 10-day notice. We have a 10-day notice law.
Maybe we can just wait till next year and make sure we get it all squared away. Yeah.
No. Because we have that March 1st date, he said.
March 1st is taxable status date. The applications have to be submitted by then. I still don't see why you can't introduce the public.
What's the calendar look like? Is there a 10-day, 10 working day, 10 business days?
Supervisor, can we like have the assessor weigh in on this and see what the ramifications of this would be?
We have our budget already set for the year.
Yeah, we have, I think, Virgil, what do we have, 830 veterans in the town?
Approximately.
Yeah, that's good. So we got about 830 veterans that we know of.
I thought we were talking about firefighters.
Well, I apologize, I don't know why I'm thinking of that, jeez.
Yes,
I want to take care of them too, I'm sorry.
The veterans.
Those are households, and I guess they would qualify even though they've already received the tax credit, but maybe the veterans passed away, but I guess.
We already have
Great,
that.
I want to know, public hearing, 10-day notice, when we could do this before March.
But so what's the first step? Did you say the school has to be contacted first?
Well, you're all going to, if I'm reading it correctly,
Yeah.
you're all going to act independently. You don't have to act together. You can have some give it and some not. Again, if I'm reading it correctly. So the town would just go ahead on its own if it was so inclined, and you would have
For
your
the
local
town,
law
yeah.
drafted, you would have a resolution introducing it and setting a public hearing on it, you hold your public hearing, close your public hearing, adopt the law.
So I was going to suggest, and Brian had a couple ideas. I was going to suggest that we reach out to our controller's office and our assessor's office to see the impact of the taxes. I think we should move forward with this. We look at different firehouses, find out how many people we have that are actually volunteers. I did a rough estimate because I asked a couple of fire chiefs already. I'm assuming it's going to be approximately about 60 to 70 people. The impact is probably going to be about $70,000 to our bottom line of deductions, and that was just a guesstimate, so don't hold me to those numbers. So I did some due diligence and some studying on this. So just be prepared that we should talk to our controller and our assessors to see the impact financially. We don't want to get into the same problems where we're trying to find money to move money around.
I agree with Carmine. I think that's the first step, is to speak to the assessor and the comptroller and get back, and then reassess where we go from there.
What's the latest we could do a public hearing where we could have this ready for March 1st?
February 2nd.
We can schedule a public hearing for,
At the February 2nd meeting, you could schedule a public hearing for the first March meeting. You could not do it on the 16th.
If it's not enacted prior to March 1st, no one will be able to take advantage of it
Just wait till
until
next year.
next year.
So it needs to be held during February by no later than the 16th.
Well,
So
if that's the second meeting in February, yeah, that's when it needs to be held.
then it would need to be introduced by the January 19th
the second
meeting.
January meeting, like I said.
Yes.
That's
Can we make that happen?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of unknowns and
Can we,
moving
like-
parts on this, you know.
Yeah,
You're
can we look-
you're rushing to
Listen,
make that
Take the
done.
first steps
I'm very
before
good
we
with
push
moving
it
parts.
forward.
If the board, you might want to hold off till next year and, just work on it over the
I mean,
course.
You want to wait till next year?
I
You
think,
tell me.
I think we've got to figure this out and what the county's going to do, and, I mean, we all want to do this, but.
We're only speaking for the town.
Yeah, I know, but is there something the county's going to do that also could be rolled in? I don't know.
No, they can give their 10% off the county tax.
Yeah,
That's the best they can do.
but I know Carmine, sounds like you've done, some work on this. I certainly want to talk to you about what you've been doing and keep you involved.
I can tell you, you'll need to speak to the chiefs of the fire districts.
Right.
Because they have the list of the active members who would be eligible.
Did you do that, Carmine?
I started the
The chief
process.
is the person you want to talk to.
Well, what's that?
No, I asked Carmine if he did that, and I think he just said that he started that process. Is that what you just
Yeah.
said, Carmine?
Yes, I started that process.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's great. We've, been meeting with these guys, and I know we've been dying to have a follow-up meeting, so, and I know that they're very interested in seeing what we can do, so this is going to be good.
Yeah, Brian, no, go for it. Run it.
Okay.
Well.
Thank you, Carmine.
Do you guys want to do it for this year, or what do you guys want to do? Because this could be time sensitive.
I think,
We have to wait, we have to take the first step to see,
Yeah.
check into everything before we just have a public
Well,
hearing.
that's not gonna be a big deal.
I say we try and move forward and.
So we'd have to schedule the public hearing for the January 19th meeting.
Well, I think the first.
You would
step-
need to set the public hearing during the meeting by January 19th,
Yeah.
so that it could be held either on February 2nd or February 16th.
Is that a 10-day notice?
Yeah, 'cause if you were to try to set it on February 2nd, you wouldn't be able to hold it on the 16th because of the President's Day holiday.
Can we set it on the 2nd and be okay for the next one, for the 19th, for the second February meeting?
No, you couldn't, because...
So it can't be either one?
Yeah, it would need to be the second January meeting, and then you could hold it at either the first or the second February meeting.
All right,
So
so-
it would potentially give you the chance to buy an extra 2 weeks if you wanted to introduce and set a public hearing, but Mr. Gaba was still working on the language of the law. As long as he had that language prepared
Yeah, within 10 days of the meeting.
within 10
okay.
days, then
All right, so what we'll do is, Michael, I'm going to create an agenda item to discuss this and put it on the first January meeting, and I'll get some more particulars between then, and we'll talk about it, and we'll decide if we want to set a public hearing for the second meeting.
Can I suggest something?
Yeah.
conversation with you, but.
Give me a call.
just going to table it to the next meeting.
So I suggest that, Mr. Supervisor, you delegate responsibility, and this is my suggestion, have Councilman Rye reach out to the fire chiefs, find out how many active members we have Foreman reach out to our controller and our assessor's office to see the impact on our finances.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
So Brian,
Yeah, I mean, that's
my
fine.
concern with the fire department,
Divide and conquer.
I want to know that there's got to be some type of thing that one call a month, I ain't cutting it. The guy's got to come and do his calls. You follow what I'm
Well,
saying?
they have and I don't know what's in the details about
Yeah.
the law.
2 years. As many as 5 to qualify. It can't be you just signed up. But if you have at least 2 years, you're not going to be able to say, we're only going to give it to somebody who, shows up for every call, or, shows up 6 months at least out of the year. If they can get a certificate from their company or corp.
That's it.
Saying, yeah, that they've been a member for
Okay.
2 years, they get, under your law, they're going to get the deduction there. Or
Okay.
Not the deduction.
And they have to maintain it once a year, right? The firemen, the volunteers?
If they have to apply
standards.
for it every year, and they will get it every year if they can get the certificate
Certificate
every year.
every, okay, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, don't we quantify it by how many, I can volunteer and not show up to any.
You won't get the
fire
certificate
call.
then?
There has to be a standard.
They probably have an end of the year.
Law doesn't
standard.
provide for that.
Well, if the people don't show up, they don't get a certificate,
I think
correct?
Becky has something to add.
If you're a member, you would get a certificate. It doesn't matter if you show up or you don't show up. I mean, you could,
I think each
We'll look
fire
into that.
district, I think there's, requirements the districts have also for membership.
remain active.
To remain active.
Find out what they are.
Et cetera. Well, we are, I will. And, I mean, John and I have been working on this, and I've been emailing him about this very thing.
Okay,
So that's,
Yeah.
of interest.
good, no, we need to
to
keep
both
these,
of us.
we need to keep these volunteers in the community.
See what we can do.
All right, guys, all right, so that's going to be a new discussion item for the first meeting.
Becky'd like to add something.
Well, it's already a discussion item, we're just moving it. It doesn't have to create a new one.
Well, this one was the number,
This one's about affordable housing, and about the tax exemption.
okay,
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Go ahead, Becky, you had an idea?
Well, I guess, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of volunteer firefighters and stuff that they may volunteer, but they don't have to go on calls. They could be the cleaning crew or the cooking crew or so it's not
Right.
just going on calls that they are participating. They might not have to go on a call, they might be there for something else. Or they might have been there for decades and they don't go on calls
Or
anymore.
they do traffic.
Or they're
I mean,
fire
there's a lot of
police,
things
or
that they do.
they're.
What's that?
Auxiliary
You know what I
fire
mean?
police.
It's not just the
that?
guys who go
Auxiliary,
on
fire,
calls.
police.
Just,
There's
that's
a
all.
lot more to it than,
Gotta
exempt.
find out what's in the
There's-
details.
yes.
Okay, all right,
We talk with them and Mr. Gaba.
all right.
Excuse me, when do you want this table to?
First meeting.
First meeting in January.
And I know that they have to be active.
Right, that's the,
All right, so talking about fire departments, we're going to talk about the rec center sign for the fire department, volunteer recruitment. I'm okay with it. How about you, John?
Sounds good to me.
Brian,
What's that?
you okay with it?
With what?
The fire department on the sign? The rec center?
Sure.
Carmen?
Yes.
Louise?
No, I'm still opposed to it. I think it's the rec center sign should remain the rec center sign, and the policy should not be changed.
Okay.
so what are we doing with that?
A resolution for tonight? The vote on
Is
it?
there one on there?
I believe there
Yes.
is.
The last one? One of the last?
Thank you.
All right. So the next four about naming veterans after some state roads. Route 9, after Sergeant Elijah Briggs, who won the Medal of Honor. He's buried in the Fishkill Rural Cemetery. The second one would be Route 82, after Corporal Derek Franklin Brickerhoff. He was killed in Korea. His family goes back to the Revolutionary War, where he had a couple family members as generals. Route 9D, after Private Sidney Schofield, who was killed in combat in the Spanish-American War. And Route 52, from Beacon to East Fishkill, after Chief Daniel Nimham. It'll go right by his statue. So I believe the state legislative session starts the second week of January. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm pretty sure that that's right.
So how do we do this? Do we do a resolution and give it to them? What is the process of getting this to Albany?
We did a resolution last time, and we sent up letters, that was all there was to it, and asked the legislative representatives to take up the cause of getting it done, and that's how you get it done.
So if I get this on for resolutions for the first meeting in January, I can give it to you and you can get it to our
I'll
senator?
prepare letters, and you'll send them out, but yes.
We'll send them up?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to put this, so let's get resolutions. Work with Mr. Gaba to get those four resolutions ready for the next board
Can we
meeting.
discuss
Mr.
it?
Gaba, will you
Oh, I
prefer for those
apologize.
to be separate resolutions?
Yes.
Okay.
Each is going to be a new law, that's what happens.
You know, you could do them all at one and send them up all as one to your, but I think it has a little bit more oomph to it if you have a letter with four resolutions than if you had one resolution with four names in it.
And
We'll prepare them separately.
yeah, separately, and on the signs, can we designate what we want on it, like the Medal of Honor? Can we put a picture of the Medal of
You can
Honor on that sign?
request- Well, if you're paying for it, they may let you put whatever you want, but I think they're going to have final approval over whatever goes on there, so you can request it, you can't just go and do it.
Okay,
And
so I'd like
think
to
they're
make
gonna
those
pay for it,
requests.
So,
I'd like to make those
Were the other
requests. I'll
ones
talk
free?
to you. What?
Were the other ones free?
The other ones, the county did them for free, yes. So we did 3 county roads, Baxtertown, Baxtertown,
Osborne Hill and Red
Osborne Hill
Schoolhouse.
Road, and Red Schoolhouse for 3 Vietnam veterans from Fishkill that were killed in combat, 1 Army and 2 Marines. And I did that with the county executive. We had a ceremony here at the War Memorial a couple of years ago, and the county paid for that and put them up with their own money. But now we're talking about the state.
Can I just add two words?
Sure.
I like the idea, but I think that the plaque should be at the War Memorial where people can actually read them and appreciate them. I went today before the meeting and actually looked at the one on Red Schoolhouse Road, and it's dangerous to try and read it as you're driving by. I appreciate the meaning behind it, but I think if we want people to really like see these plaques and read them, they should be at our War Memorial, which would highlight it even more when we add the names to it and figure out how to get the people to get in there and see it.
You okay with me moving with the state, get the state to do it? You okay with me to do the state do it?
Yeah.
John? Okay, so Mr. Gaba, can you work with my
yeah,
secretary?
we'll have the resolutions ready. As soon as the resolutions are enacted, we'll send out the letters.
Thank you, guys. Next up is discussion of the 2023 holiday schedule. Any comments on that?
No.
Anybody? Nothing? Next up is discussion of amending the current time off policy. Any questions on that?
No, good.
All right. Number 12 is discussion of
Wait,
proposed...
Becky has a question.
Yeah,
I believe there is.
it might be consent. Let me see which one it is.
Oh, yeah.
Is it? It's on consent? Thank you. And the current time off policy is consent too, right?
no, I see it.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right. Next one is just a discussion, no resolution. A discussion of a proposed new town park, James Brown Memorial Park. We knocked down the water tower on 9D. just north of the Beacon-Newburgh Bridge, and we got a nice acre of land overlooking the Hudson River with Hudson River views. This individual was a slave at one time that escaped, so I'll just give you a little narrative of what he was. James Brown, an escaped slave from Maryland, was the master gardener at the Mount Gulian property on Route 90 corridor. Noted in this time, he does not receive the recognition today that he deserves. The town of Fishkill recently demolished an abandoned water storage tank on the Route 90 corridor. The town board will discuss converting this property into the James F. Brown Memorial Park. And he got a pretty good record. I've got his obituary here. It's pretty long. But he was a slave. He escaped. He got refuge in New York. He worked with the Plank family and was able to buy himself out of servitude and became a outstanding citizen for the town of Fishkill since his beginning. So I think it would be a great honor to do something like this. I'd like to get your comments if we should move forward with it.
Who are you starting? Me?
Yep.
I drove to the location, and I don't think it's very big. And I have issue with it. The road itself goes right through where the nursing home is, so I'm concerned about people accessing it and driving there, parking there. So I don't really know if it's big enough for a park. If people are going to look at the Hudson River, we'd probably have to clear some of the trees because you can see some now, but in the spring and the summer, the leaves are going to be blocking everything. So my thought was if we're going to do anything with it, maybe an overlook, like a scenic overlook.
It would just be like a simple pocket park, nothing with no, maybe some benches and possibly a couple grills maybe, but not much to it.
I wouldn't even say grills, I would just say like that, because then the more you do there, the more we're going to have to add to the parks to, you know, maintain it and do everything.
I'm looking at like a very simple pocket park, just maybe some benches, a nice view, nothing, no basketball court, no tennis, none of that stuff.
Yeah, if the other board members can just go look at it, and then we discuss it again, because to me, it's really small. I don't know if it's.
It's an acre of land, it's pretty big.
Huh?
It's an acre of land.
Yeah, it goes down, it's a slope that goes down.
Carmen, your thoughts?
Let me go last, Mr. Supervisor, I do have thoughts.
And then just one more thing, sorry.
I'll take a ride.
Yeah.
Brian?
I need to take a look at it, too.
Okay,
I mean, I read,
Good idea.
this is a lot of information, and I read through a lot of it. I mean, this is a very commendable thing to name a park after this gentleman. There's no doubt about it. It's very touching, it's historical, it's all kinds of things. I just don't know that property well.
No, understood.
You know, and Louise has a point, and,
All right.
you know.
Carl?
So I think it's a great idea to make a little park out of it. I think it's honorable who we're going to dedicate it to. I just think we need to look at it and see what's the best uses of it and how we're going to pay for it. Just remember, anything that we add upon into the town, there's a maintenance cost to it. So just understand that we're going to have to maintain it. We're going to have to cut the grass. We're going to have to make it look nice. So that's something that we have to, when we do a project, that, yes, great, it looks fantastic, but there's also a maintenance that's going to happen every week or once a month to maintain that property. And then if it's being used, we have to police the grounds, we have to, landscape it. I think something to think about, since his background, it'd be nice to do a nice, maybe talk to the Verplank Garden Club and actually do some native species plants that are that are never around during that time, and maybe do a nice educational several butterfly gardens and some native species plants in that area. That'll be a good dedication to him, because he was a master gardener.
Maybe we can include the historian too, since I don't think he was included in the 44-page document that was put on the agenda packet. But I agree with your point, because he was a master gardener for the Verplank family at Mount Gulian, so that would be nice if we could include the flower club. What?
A garden park.
That's nice.
There you go. That's
A very
good.
small one.
All right, so we'll table this to the first January meeting. What is the process if we decide to make it a park? Do we have to pass a resolution?
In order to designate it as parkland, you'd have to pass a resolution.
So no public hearing?
No public hearing.
Oh, okay, so that's an easy one. All right. Let's see, that's a good one.
I think Becky was asking if we can save it for the second meeting in January.
Okay, yep.
I mean,
that's fine.
all those are great points Carmine made.
Yeah, I like the gardener thing, that's good. He was a gardener, and it could cut down on the maintenance on the side, so it'll be less to maintain, so it'll be nice.
I love that, too. And it's also the maintenance issue. You're very right. It's a budget item, and we've already set the budget, so.
Yeah, so.
Good points, Carmine.
So I want you to write a letter to the Verplank Garden Club, Ms. Gambino, let her know what we're thinking, and see if they were interested in participating in something like a garden park. So that'll be, let's get their response by the second meeting of January. All right? That's good. I like that park. I like the garden park. That's going to be cool. Just curious while we're talking about parks, can we name roads that go into parks? Are we allowed to do that?
If it's your if it's town property, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Is that Casson Way? What is it now?
That's Casson Way,
Yeah.
that's the road that goes by that. But I was thinking about like Gearing, the road that goes into Gearing Way, the Shepherd's Park, those type of roads, so we can maintain them.
So if we name a road to a park, now we're able to use some ARPA money to actually, some funds also to pave those parks, because they are a named road.
I think we need to see how much ARPA money we actually have left.
No, I don't think
Because some of it
that
was
much
dedicated to all the water projects,
I
and
think
Sharon
I-
said she was
well,
looking
I
into
think-
what's left.
I think we could
Before
use,
we spend
was it
more.
282 money? Maybe we could just use some of that money. Yeah, it's not ARPA money that we use. So if we want to name a road in a park, do we have to do a public hearing on that? Or just a resolution?
No, not for naming a roadway, you can just do a resolution.
But you're renaming, so it won't be Casson Way anymore?
No, we would not name that. Like, we're talking about, if we, go on, explain it.
So if you have the road going into Gearing Park, I don't think it's named right now. So you can put a name on it, and then, yeah. So you can actually name the road going into the park, that's part of the park.
Why? I don't get it, because I mean, the park is off of Gearing Way. This is very small, so that we wouldn't be able to name anything there. It's already going through.
I'm not talking about
but
that one.
I still don't, what's the point of it,
So we can maybe get state aid to pave them.
of paving?
Yep.
Okay.
Like, for example, Gearing Way, that road was named after Bailey, the individual that forged Washington's sword in that area. I believe the Gearing family donated a bunch of land to the town, and they renamed it after them. So Bailey Road is now Gearing Way, but I wouldn't change that name, but we could name the road going into the park Bailey Road, Bailey Way, after the guy that did the sword. That would be one example that I would like to use. You follow me with that?
Oh, yeah.
And since the official
The other two
town, since the official town road, and if I said ARPA, you said 218 money, what was
I
that?
think it's a 282 agreement, is that what it is?
So we could actually use those funds to actually
Pave it.
pave those.
Is it really a road, or is it a driveway? So,
It's a
We'll
road.
name it a road.
but does it make it a road, just because we call it a road?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said, does it make it a road just because we call it a road, even though it's.
Does it make a road that we call it a road? I guess so.
Well, you'll have to build it to your town road specs, but that aside,
Okay.
yeah.
But is there so we could do it when we get to it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'd like to do, the next, maybe the second meeting, Bailey, but then we can think of, you guys can think
Is that
about.
that's a new discussion, right?
Huh?
Is that a new discussion?
We'll just segue in a little bit, but maybe you guys can think about, Shepherd's Park and, Doug Phillips Park for some road names there. So we can do all three major parks at one time. So the Bailey I'd like to do because he forged a sword there, so I think that would be good. But the other two, I'm open to suggestions. All right. So put that on the second meeting, Greg, second meeting of January, park road names.
Got it.
Next up is discussion of cost for Booth Boulevard, lighting. So we went through this pretty good. I stopped. Is it okay for me to write a letter to those residents and ask them if they want to participate? That's the only thing I haven't done yet. You guys okay with me doing that?
I think that's what we were going to do last time.
Well, I just wanted to bring to your attention what we've done so far, okay?
Are you
But-
going to give them these figures
Yep.
in the letter?
But aren't there other figures besides that? Because didn't Mr. Gaba say there's engineering, there's other costs associated, so those
Yeah, but
people
Central
would have to
Hudson's
know
got-
that they would have to pay what
Central-
those costs are as well, wouldn't they?
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead, Alan.
Central Hudson's going to bear those costs. We don't have to do anything, right?
Yes.
And
When speaking to Central Hudson, they said if we go forth and do this, the money they would cover all costs. And that would be the rough estimate or actual estimate based on their costs of how much it would go up every year, but cost of install and maintenance and everything else is covered by Central Hudson. It doesn't cost anything out of the town.
Mr. Gaba, I thought you said if it was a new lighting district, we had to do something else.
I don't think
It's
so.
you have to
not a new lighting district.
It's not a new lighting district? I
I
thought
thought it
it was.
was.
Central Hudson said that there's already a pre-existing lighting district there, which is the reason why there's poles. The poles just don't have any lights on at the moment.
Well, then you don't
So
need to
they
full
will
lighting
add
district
9.
if you've already got one, so
Yeah.
that makes it a lot easier.
They said everything's done, we just need to
So we could
decide
do
we
something
wanna
with
do
just
it.
a resolution, if a majority of the residents say it's okay to do it, just a town board resolution to do it?
Yeah, at the most, you need a resolution. You may be able to just write a letter and tell Central Hudson to go ahead and do it if
I
it's
think
not
you
going to
just
be at
have,
any cost.
should we also check with Sharon, because I don't know what those costs will be if she doesn't have it already allocated for the budget, how she has to do it?
The homeowner will pay for that.
I know, but usually it's in their taxes, I believe.
Yeah, I
the lighting
added
district.
I added 2 lights across the street, but there was only 2 lights. I didn't, they just did it like that, and it was no big deal, but this is a big block, so this is a much bigger enterprise.
I know, that's
than
what
just
I'm
two-
saying.
Than 2 lights. But the poles are there, and they just have to put the lights up there. And that's what they did over across the street in Forgebrook.
I'm just talking about costs and the people paying for it,
All
if
right.
they had to.
So let's start with the, maybe they said they don't want it.
That's true, maybe they
So,
said they don't want it.
everybody's good with me writing a letter?
Yeah, I mean, how is it going to be billed? Directly to them, or how does that billing work out?
The bills go to the town. The town pays the bills through the lighting district. There are benefit assessments, and you get money into your budget every year through it.
Like, you get your town tax, your county tax, your fire tax, your lighting district tax, that's where it would be.
That's what it'd be, you add that onto it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna write a letter. Hey?
Yes.
You got it? All right. Second meeting of January. Next up is discussion of resolution authorizing the closure of capital project fund for the highway department. It's dead. Any questions on this?
No, Sharon said it was a good idea.
Everybody okay with it? Yes. Okay, that's going to consent, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Next up is modification of the highway townwide DA fund for the adopted budget for tree and brush removal. We just have to move some money around to cut some more trees. Everybody okay with that?
Fine.
Thank you. Next up is authorization of renewal of the 2023 general liability insurance policy, and it is going to go up a little bit because of cybersecurity. And we were audited my first year in office, and we went through a massive auditing of your internet security for the town of Fishkill, and I think we probably have the best internet security in New York State. And I want to keep it strong. So the insurance company requires certain things, and we have top-notch internet security, and I want to keep it that way. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I think Sharon actually allotted a little bit more, so
Yeah.
it's covered, we're good.
Everybody down this way? John?
Cyber insurance is taking big rate increases
Yeah.
statewide.
Thank you.
Even in our Association of Towns book that I was just given, there's a big article about how municipalities should prepare for a cybersecurity incident. So it's a big deal. Unfortunately, the prices are going up, and that's where the majority of that increase is coming.
I want that in the ego, this thing about the cybersecurity. I want to mention that so the citizens understand that.
John,
I got it. We
Can
got
I
it.
call you and speak with you about that?
That's a good thing.
Didn't Sharon say in the email that this bill is slightly less than what we budgeted for, so maybe there's at least a slight rainbow? Did I read that correctly?
Yeah. We budget very conservatively just in
But
case.
she made a big emphasis on cybersecurity.
Yes, and we have very good security,
Yeah.
passwords, all that stuff.
Yes, Sharon was ready for this increase.
Can anybody hear me when I speak?
Next up is privilege of the floor for agenda items. At this time, anybody wishes to speak about the agenda items may do so now. We're good?
Wait, what'd you say? Privilege? Wait.
Privilege of the floor for agenda items. Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can, thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody else heard me throughout the meeting.
Okay.
It's hard to be here sometimes.
All right, next up is the resolution for the consent agenda. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Louise, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up is resolution number 1. Resolution approving agreement to resolve outstanding monetary claims in regards to acceptance of offers of dedication for the water mains and sewer mains at the Fishkill Woods and Van Wyck at Merritt Park subdivisions. Mr. Gabba, can you just give us a little brief follow-up from the last meeting, and we took care of the issues that some of the board members had?
Sure. There was a couple of concerns raised regarding the performance of the Toll Brothers agreement, which requires, if it's performed, adoption of the offers of dedication for Fishkill Woods and the Van Wyck at Merritt Park water and sewer lines. The first one was obtaining payments regarding the amounts that they're undertaking to pay. I believe that they've paid to the town the amounts that are due to the town, and the initial payment on KMO, it's an estimate.
I believe we have the attorney here if he wants to
Oh,
join
well,
us.
yeah, sure.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to see you. Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, David Cooper, partner with the law firm Zara and Steinmetz. I was going to let Steve take the whole night. I was just going to sit back there. But yes, we did deliver, Toll Brothers did deliver 2 checks to the town yesterday, one in the full amount of the settlement payment, and then one in $28,000 or so for the camo payment. The agreement says 25. I think with tax, it goes to 28, so they included the 28. Those are being held in escrow, subject to the agreement being approved hopefully tonight. Also, this afternoon, the payment to the HOA, the reimbursement of about $6,000, was delivered to the management company out in Yorktown, downstate in Yorktown. That was, I think that was the only outstanding items that were remaining with respect to the Toll Brothers prerequisites for the agreement.
Well, there was one other, actually, and that was the issue of there's electrical service and a phone line which is for the alarm, which serves the pump station. I believe that's Fishkill Woods.
No.
No, it's Van Wyck?
It's Van Wyck, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Van Wyck.
Yep.
So there was some concern about, well, when the town takes over the lines, it needs to take over the accounts for the electric and for the phone line, and they want to make sure not only that that's turned over, but that it's turned over without any arrears on the those two accounts. So I'm told that service has been discontinued, I believe, and it's ready to be picked up by the town, and that there are no outstanding amounts. I haven't seen anything from Central Hudson, the phone company, but I've had that representation made. But more to the point, Toll Brothers and I, Toll Brothers attorney and I, have spoken about this, and what we've decided to do, just to kind of belt and suspenders, make sure that there's no issues with the phone line or the electric, is add a sentence to the agreement. I've handed out copies to all of you. You can see it's highlighted in red. Under Toll Brothers obligations, it says, further, Toll will secure a transfer to the town of the pertinent electric and telephone services for the lines and infrastructure without any past due amounts owed within 30 days after acceptance of the offers of dedication. And keep in mind, the offers of dedication are conditional upon performance of this agreement. So with this in place, I am confident that, and we think it'll take less time, it's just the holidays are coming up, so we decided to push it out to 30 as opposed to like 14. The town will have the electrical line and phone line in its name without any arrears within that time frame.
And I have an email from, I think it's Verizon is the phone company, that has confirmed that there were no outstanding invoices. That account has been closed and can be transferred over. I don't have an email yet from the utility company, but you may have one, and I don't know, or I'm sure we're going to get one before 30 days, but.
Well, the dedications aren't going to be effective until this takes place. I'm certain Toll Brothers is not going to hold up the dedication lines.
Yes. So how do we get this to our sewer and water provider that this has been done? That's my concern.
You tell me, however, is easiest. So what I've been doing, they've been giving me the emails, and then I've been forwarding them to Steve. I don't know if it's faster,
So it
if
would
they
be
just go right to Camo.
Can you keep Camo in a loop between you two?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to
Maybe you
contact
Mr. Trump.
Verizon and the electric company, say, set the account up in the town's name, and you're in business.
All right, so let's follow up on this on Tuesday with Mr. Gabb and Mr. Tremper, so we make sure that this gets done.
Ozzie, can I say
Yeah, of course.
Thanks. I just wanted to follow up from the last meeting, in case anybody was watching, that this is a continuation. Where you thought that the scope was done in 2021, it was not. It was 2016, and followed up the next year at that same specific location where the repairs were made. And I'm aware that you're not willing to pay for a scoping or if anything else comes up in the future, but I spoke to Mike from Camo, and his solution to that for us is that when he flushes the lines out in the spring for the fire hydrants, he's going to just flush everything. So hopefully we'll get an idea for ourselves instead of doing the scoping. So that was his idea.
Okay, and that makes sense as to the payment. The only thing I would say is there was a full scoping done in 2020, September of 2020.
but.
It was a partial scope, and that was.
Was it partial? Okay, yeah, it was more than just that one, that one site.
I believe it, Mike said. So I also want to thank Carmine for putting up with me for the past 2 weeks to insist that you pay up before we sign anything. And I appreciate the fact that you did pay up, and we just got the final one for the HOA, which makes me feel better. And that was also Mr. Tremper's idea about the electricity and the phone lines being switched over. And he said that the fence was properly, fixed. So everything, I believe everything is squared away. My last thing is that I would just ask your client to ensure that the water and sewer is installed properly at projects he has pending in the town, and make sure that he has his water meters hooked up so that we do not have to go through this process again in the future. So we're all squared away. So
I'll let them.
thank you.
let them
Appreciate
know,
it.
yeah.
I appreciate your help with everything.
'Cause you got 2 projects, you got another 100 units
Yeah.
on Merritt Boulevard, and you got another 90 or so on Overlook Point.
Overlook, right.
So you got another 200 units that you guys are putting up.
That's correct, yeah.
So Ozzy, one thing on the resolution
I
on
have to
this.
amend it?
When you get down to number 1, under now therefore be resolved, it says the town board hereby approves the proposed agreement. Should be approves the proposed agreement as amended. The as amended just referring to that one sentence that we've
Yep.
added.
Do I have to read the sentence?
Well, yeah, when you,
No, the red part that you wrote down.
no, just as amended in the resolution will be just
Okay.
fine after the proposed agreement. Just say as amended and you're good.
It's amended.
Is the one
Okay.
we're voting on,
We're voting on number 1 right now.
is that what you had said, Mike and I, to fix, or is this another, this is going to be amended again?
No, this resolution is the correct resolution.
It is.
All we're
Perfect.
going to do is, when we
Okay.
get down to number 1 under now therefore, and Ozzy says the town board hereby approves the proposed agreement, he's going to say the town board hereby approves the proposed agreement as amended.
Got it, thank you.
That's the only difference.
Appreciate it.
All right, it's okay just to read the resolve? So this is, whereas the said funds have been deposited into escrow accounts with the town, therefore be it resolved that number 1, the town board hereby approves the proposed agreement as amended, and number 2, that the town supervisor is authorized to execute the same and any documents necessary to implement the terms thereof. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Brian Rye, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. All right, that's done. So we're now on to number 2. A resolution accepting the offer of dedication of water mains and sewer mains at Van Wyck at Merritt. Any questions on this?
No.
Everybody's good with this? So this is officially accepting the dedication of water and sewer mains at Merritt Boulevard. Now therefore be resolved as follows. Number 1, that the town board hereby accepts the offer of dedication subject to a full performance of all terms set forth in the agreement between Toll Brothers and the town regarding the acceptance of the offer of dedication, including payment of all sums due therefore, and B, the receipt of policy of title insurance of the easements in the amount of not less than $35,000, and C, receipt of properly executed recording documents for the easement, and D, receipt of full-size copies of the maps attached to the offer of dedication, and number 2, that the town supervisor hereby authorized to sign any and all documents necessary to complete the dedication of the water and sewer mains. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Carmine, all in favor?
Aye.
Next up is resolution, offer of dedication of water mains at the Fishkill Woods residential development. This project was going on, and maybe a third of it was properly done, and now we're going to do the rest of it. Now therefore be resolved as follows, that the town board hereby accepts the offer of dedication subject to A, full performance of all terms set forth in the agreement between Toll Brothers and the town regarding acceptance of said offer of dedication, including payment of the amounts due thereunder. B, receipt of the policy of title insurance for the easements in the amount not less than $35,000. C, receipt of the properly executed recording documents for easement. D, receipt of the full-size copies of maps attached to the offer of dedication. And number 2, the town supervisor authorized to sign any and all documents necessary to complete dedication of water mains. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up is resolution of dedication of sewer mains at the Fishkill Woods residential development. And Mr. Yava, this is clear, that's just that one main going to the beginning of that complex, correct?
This is the Fishkill Woods water mains.
No, sewer mains, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the sewer mains, yes, we've added language particularly identifying that it is only the mains going in and the kind of nub coming off and none of the laterals or other infrastructure for the sewer.
You satisfied?
Yes.
Everybody satisfied? Okay. Now therefore be resolved as follows, that the town board hereby accepts the offer of dedication subject to full performance of the terms set forth in the agreement between Toll and the town regarding the acceptance of the said offer. B, receipt of the policy of title insurance easement, but not to the amount of not less than $35,000. C, receipt of properly executed recording documents for the easement. And D, receipt of the full-size copies of the maps attached to the offer of dedication. And 2, that the town supervisor hereby authorizes signing any and all documents necessary to complete the dedication of the sewer mains. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Carmine, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so right now I'm done with, we are done right now, but under new business, I'm going to talk about the board's opinion, whether to talk about those buyouts that you were mentioning. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
So you want to stick around for the rest of the meeting and hear what we say?
You don't want to happen to discuss it right now?
No. No, I'm going to bring it up in a new business. It's up to you.
Well, I'll be back and see what my instruction is. But
Okay, yeah.
thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, next up, this is a really good moment for the town of Fishkill. We are going to adopt the Town of Fishkill Drinking Water Source Protection Program Plan. Whereas in 2021, the Town of Fishkill applied for and was awarded technical support from New York State Drinking Water Source Protection Program, DWSP2, for the purpose of developing a plan to protect the quality of their public water supply. And whereas the local stakeholders work closely with New York State funded technical team and water resource engineers, scientists, hydrologists, and planners to draft a DWSP2 plan tailored to the local conditions and priorities, whereas a draft DWSP2 plan was reviewed by local officials at a public session on 21 September 22, whereas a final DWS2 plan was accepted by New York State, representative dated 5 December 2022, whereas the adoption of the DWSP2 plan was considered under secret and classified as a type 2 action per section 617.5C, parentheses 27, conducting concurrent environmental engineering, economic feasibility, and other studies and preliminary planning and budgetary process necessary to the formulation of a proposal for action, provided those activities do not commit the agency to commence, engage in, or approve such action, and as such is subject to no further environmental review. So what the town of Fishkill did was got a grant from the state. It was basically an in-kind donation of about $150,000, and they went through our aquifers, and they found what our problems were with our high salt content, and they gave us a lot of recommendations, and this follow-ups from last year's aquifer protection laws. So my goal was to protect our best resource that we have, which is our natural water, our aquifers. You guys have watched what's going on in the West. Big-time water problems. We've been blessed with good water. We just got to make sure we come up with a plan to make sure salt does not ruin it. So this is an awesome first step. It highlights what we can do, and we're going to move on this. And I want to ask Carmine if he's interested in helping me come up with some plans for this program in the future.
Absolutely.
Like immediate future.
Yes, I have a bunch of ideas. I think we talked about doing some overlays with regards to using chlorides on our roads to minimize the salt lay down near our aquifers in certain zones. So we're going to put together a map that will identify our areas of high concentrate or where we need to protect the aquifer.
Any comments?
No, sounds good.
This is a really good resolution.
Well, thank you to
John?
Greg, right?
Excellent.
Greg, you did.
Brian?
No, I think it's great. I commend you, sir, for all your work on this.
Thank you.
Yes, make a comment, Greg.
Well, first off, thank you to the town board for moving forward with this. This process began well over a year ago when we were accepted into the program. There were dozens and dozens of hours in collaboration with consultants who were provided free from the state of New York, and we really can't thank those consultants enough for their excellent work that they did, especially Liz Moran, Angie Apollinaris. They did phenomenal work in helping prepare the actual document, meeting with us on a monthly basis, and putting together a plan which will really help secure a better future and a sustainable future for the residents of Fishkill when it comes to their drinking water, giving them the knowledge that what comes out of their tap is safe for their family. That's what it really comes down to. That's what it's all about, and to have been involved in that is a matter of great pride, and I thank the town for trusting me with that process.
I just remember you in the comprehensive plan update talking at length about these things, and it's just a lot of work you put into it. So it's not only that work, but I mean, hearing anecdotal information from like Carmine about the salt on the roads and things like that, you don't really consider the overall continual damage to the, so this is very important.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that these things are interconnected. Yeah. And there was a very eye-opening process for me from the administrative side, learning about all of the different ways that potential hazards are introduced into our water supply, and learning about ways that we can proactively avoid them and reactively respond to emerging trends and do what we can to make sure that the water we're giving to our residents meets the highest possible standards.
Yeah, water is potentially nationally going to be a desperate thing in the future, so this is very important.
And this also puts us up with our comprehensive plan. It sets us up to get grants. We have this program in our comprehensive plan, in the DWSP too. So this is what they're looking for, to give people grants.
As I was educated by Greg during the meeting, so.
It's the front of the line, absolutely.
And we have already received about $140,000 to $150,000 of free engineering consultation because we were part of this program. So that really can't be overstated enough when we think about the costs of performing a lot of these engineering reviews. I mean, the comprehensive plan, these other things which the town has done in the past few years, the engineering and consulting costs on that are the brunt of the expense that's incurred. This process was entirely free of charge to the town. The only expense that the town incurred was paying me my salary for the time that I spent working on this with Supervisor Albra and with our consultants who assisted. So it was a steal at 10 times the price.
Were there a lot of people in the field out there, or, I don't want to get lengthy. We're at the end of the meeting here, but were there a lot of people out there just doing tests and things?
It wasn't so much that it was a lot of stuff in the field. What we generally relied on were GIS mapping data, which was provided first by Barbara and then through our water department at the time, so that we were able to give a lot of information through GIS. And of course, their engineers and researchers were able to get a lot of state and federal data on our area, including things like wetlands, water flow, et cetera. And geologic surveys, which already existed. So I don't think they needed a lot of manpower in the field, but it's a lot of data analytics and math, which is way beyond what I can do.
Sure.
Yeah, and this is, our engineering services, we got the aquifer protection law, we got this DWSP too, and you guys are working hard on closing out the comprehensive plan. This is really good stuff.
John's harder than me, I will tell you that.
What's that?
John has worked harder than I have on the plan.
So John's worked harder than you, that's fine. But you worked on it, and that's appreciated. But it's very important that we haven't done anything since 2009, and part of the 2009 comprehensive plan called for doing these things, and we're doing it. So that's what's important. And like you guys said earlier, water is the most important thing to have. And even if you don't have municipal water, it's important because it impacts your wells. You get the water from the same aquifer. And when we did the Beacon Hills Water District, we did all the pipes. What was it 500,000 gallons we saved?
About 525,000 gallons.
Of water that was leaking out of pipes being wasted. And my first year in office, I had about maybe 4 people complain that their private wells went dry. This year, I didn't declare an emergency. I just wanted to see how the system, during that dry spell, how far we could go, and I got no complaints of any dry wells. So I don't know if that 500,000 gallons of water made a difference, but if we shore this stuff up, it definitely does make a difference, and we protect the water, which is the most important resource that we have in the town of Fishkill, in my opinion.
Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah. All good? All right, next up is resolution. amending the town of Fishkill policy regarding the use of the sign at the recreation center.
I was going to say, there was.
Oh, I didn't vote on it? I read it, but I didn't vote on it. I'll present it as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Okay, thank you. Next up is resolution amending the town of Fishkill policy regarding the use of the sign at the rec center. I'm okay with it. Anybody else? Comments?
That's
John, you good?
what we've been
Good.
working for a long time, so yeah. I'm
Carmen, you
for it.
good? Louise?
I'm an aye.
You're a nay? All right. So I'll present it as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
I gotta read it again. I'm going ahead of myself here. All right, so resolution amending the town of Fishkill policy regarding the use of the sign at the recreation center. Basically, what we're going to do is allow fire districts to advertise for recruiting certain periods of the year. So now therefore be resolved as follows, that the town's written policy in regard to the use of the sign at the town recreation center is hereby amended to add the following as a new paragraph at the end of the current text. Provided, however, that the town board may, in its discretion from time to time, authorize use of the sign by the town for promotion or for recruiting programs for volunteer fire departments providing emergency services in the town of Fishkill. Number 2, that the town clerk shall cause a revised version of the town's written policy in regard to the use of the sign at the town recreation center, including the above listed amendment, to be filed with her office and posted on the town website. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Supervisor Albro?
Yes? No, I go last.
Do last, I'm sorry, I'm reading something else. Councilmember Daniele?
Nay.
Councilmember Istvan?
Yes.
Councilmember Foreman?
Yes.
Councilmember Rye?
Yes.
Supervisor Albro?
Yes.
Thank you.
So next up is items for special consideration.
No, you missed one.
Number 7.
I missed something, 7?
Paid time off.
Oh, resolution of amending the paid time off policy. Anybody have any questions on that? Everybody good with it?
Yep.
All right. Resolved that the town of Fishkill Employee Handbook adopted on December 20th, 2017, be amended to change the paid time off section 802 to add new policy effective January 1st, 2023, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor or his designee are hereby authorized to take all steps necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution, and be it further resolved that this resolution take effect January 1st, 2023. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Louise, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we have 2 items for special consideration, and that would be to accept the lowest bids for 2 things. One would be the pouring of the concrete for a foundation for the new highway garage, and second, to erect a new highway garage. So we'll do...
Actually, you should reverse those. It should be
Reverse
to
it?
construct first and then to the concrete.
The building first?
The building first.
All right. Any discussion on it?
I'm just concerned about the cost that we had originally allocated and where we're getting the rest of the money from.
Okay. Carl?
Nope.
John?
Nope.
Brian?
Mr. Galva, this question for you. Why erect the erection first, then foundation? I'm just curious.
Well, I know in building, it kind of goes the other way around. but
Yes, you do
in
the
this
foundation
particular
first, so I'm
one,
just
we have-
curious.
In this particular one, I believe we did 2 things. One was we followed the order of the RFPs, and 2 was you did your secret review in the first resolution. So the second resolution says you've already adopted a neg deck, and you can't do that. And then
I was just curious.
Procedural.
Yeah.
All right. Now therefore be resolved as follows, that the town board determines that this is unlisted action under secret and adopts a negative declaration, and that the town board hereby accepts the bid of Harlem Valley Steel in the amount of $117,900 as the low responsible bidder on the contract for construction of the new Town Highway Department garage. And 3, the town board of the town of Fishkill hereby authorizes the town supervisor to sign any contract of the same in a form acceptable to the town attorney, and any other documents necessary to carry out the terms and provisions of the said contract. Do a roll call vote.
Okay. Let me get to where I am. Okay. Councilmember Daniele?
Aye.
Are you for it?
Okay. Councilmember Istvan?
Yes.
Righty. Councilmember Foreman?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Rye?
Yes.
Yes. And Supervisor Albro?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Next up will be the resolution. Discussion of resolution to accept the lowest qualified bid for The concrete for footing found pier and slab of the highway garage. Discussion item ID 8374, the Town of Fishkill Highway Department is requesting additional truck storage and repair garage. The Highway Department's annual budget included 4 bids that have been submitted to the town. The lowest bidder has provided the qualifications required, submission date, and requirements of the proposal. The lowest bid will be, the town received 4 bids, which the lowest qualified bidder was B. Smith and Company, General Contracting Corporation, and Bosch Enterprise, Inc., with a bid of $78,750, whereas the town board of the sole involved agency in SECRA reviewed and has adopted a negative declaration on the project. Now therefore be resolved. Number 1, the town board of the town of Fishkill hereby accepts the bid of B. Smith and Company, General Contracting Corp. with Bosch Enterprise, Inc. of $78,750 as the low responsible bidder for the contract on the concrete work for the new Town Highway Department building. And number 2, the town board of the town of Fishkill hereby authorizes the town supervisor to sign a contract for the same in a form acceptable to the town attorney and any other documents necessary to carry out the terms and provisions of the said contract. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Next up is new and old business. Louise?
I wanted to update the board that I have approximately 44 applications for the hometown banner so far. There are still spaces available. You can contact me through the Hometown Heroes at fishkill-newyork.gov for more information if you did not receive the eGov with the links last Friday, and I could send that to you. This is just old end of year that I just wanted to express my gratitude to the entire board. This year together we accomplished one of my goals that I had, that was removing the collection fee to pay your school taxes. I would not have done it alone. I could not have done it alone, and I was glad that Carmine agreed to. Although it took a few meetings of tabling it and getting louder than I may have wanted to, we did it. This will benefit the residents of the town and business owners, and I'm proud that we were able to accomplish this. This has been a trying year for myself to be on the board. I was disappointed with the defense of the town regarding the Continental Commons water and sewer connections. I stand by the decision that I made on the prior board and was disappointed with the new board members that they did not want to appeal it. I know I'm only one of 5, so I can only state my point and then hope for the best. I was, however, happy that I was able to work with the new board members to amend the proposed budget for what we believe to be better for the residents, especially those in the village of Fishkill, and to not eliminate jobs that were threatened to be cut. I want to thank Sharon, who met with Carmine and I to answer the many questions that we had. I will continue to make the choices with whoever I feel is presenting issues that will benefit the residents that we serve. I look forward to the creation of the playground with Carmine at the Doug Phillips Park and the Hometown Hero banners with him as well. I wish everyone good health in the new year. Without that, we have nothing. I'd wish a speedy recovery to Deputy Supervisor Hal Brilliant, and a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to all those who celebrate.
Carmine?
Under new business, I just want to basically thank the residents and thank my board here. We work together, I think, pretty well. We might not see eye to eye, but I think collectively this is a great board. And I want to thank everybody for electing me to be here on this board. I've learned a lot, very humbling, educational, and I just want to thank everybody. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Carmine. John?
Ditto on everything. Thank you to everybody, the people who show up. Mr. O'Malley must be the only meeting he's missed all year.
Every meeting he was here except tonight.
The people that watch, and I know there's a lot of people that watch, and I think this board has come together to work together. We don't agree on everything, but that's healthy. But we do what we can in our best interests for the town residents. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Festivus.
Brian?
I'd like to thank Louise. I mean, I think that we've seasoned and worked together a little bit better and have better conversations. I know when we first started, we're rather testy with each other.
We're working on it.
But You know, it's all about the seasoning, it's all about just understanding each other, and yes, we do have differences, there's no doubt about it, but we can handle it and be civil and just kind of work through it. Tonight being, you know, one of those, but, you know, I do want to, as Carmine and John have said, thank you to the town for entrusting us with this position. It is an honor to serve. It's terrific to be here, and I enjoy working with our police departments. I enjoy working with all departments. I enjoy certainly our outreach to the fire districts and a number of other things that we're working on. I was rather sick during the budgetary process, and so I really appreciate everyone's work, and I would get phone calls and hear what's going on. That was very important. So yeah, we don't mind taking the heat, and we occasionally like to have a positive remark, and I know that we've had some. It's just really been nice to be here, and I wish everybody, if you celebrate Christmas as I do, Merry Christmas. It is that holiday season, and I just hope that everybody has a peaceful, safe time.
Okay. Mr. Toll Brothers is still here.
Mr. Cooper. AKA Mr. Cooper.
Does he have any more tricks?
I've been called a lot, but that's actually very nice. Thanks, Mr. Cooper.
I'm sorry about that. Mr. Cooper. A little late. So let's just get this. There was a little discussion about buyouts. Mm-hmm. Let me know. It's a new business. I'm asking them to come up and speak. Mm-hmm. So just give me a little synopsis real quick of what you're requesting us to consider.
So, part of me, because the request was a while ago at this point, but I know at the time the town had a affordable housing development fund, I believe it was called, that you could pay into in lieu of providing affordable housing, the requirements in your development. The Regency, which has already been built, had at the time, I think it was 3 units that were being, it was a very difficult time to market those units, and were kind of just staying vacant. The proposal at the time was to pay whatever, I think it's $30,000 per unit. I think the total payment was $105,000 to convert those to market rate. The request has been pending for quite some time, and I must say it wasn't on the top of the radar because of all the other items that we've been discussing.
And they're finished.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah. So how many units and where? What are you looking at?
It's the 3 units at the Regency condos only. Those are
only Regency. That's all you got left.
Those
are they vacant right now, or is that a new building?
It's not. The building itself is not vacant. I believe these 3 units are still vacant.
They're vacant. These 3 units are vacant still.
Yes, and that may be stale information. I apologize. I didn't realize that we were going to be discussing it tonight, so I don't have the up-to-date information.
Okay.
At the time we made the request, they were vacant, and they had been vacant for a while.
Can you follow up to see if they're vacant right now?
Yes, I can.
So I'll be talking to the board members individually and the town attorney to see which way we're going to go with that. Okay.
Yeah, just let us know. We Mr. Toll Brothers needs to know so that they can either market them or reopen the doors so that they can be occupied as an affordable unit, or market them as a market rate. They need to know. So.
Okay.
That have to be.
I mean, I don't mean tonight, but just sooner rather than later.
I'll talk to you individually what my plan is.
With the lack of affordable housing, this is a tough one to swallow here.
Well, here's the issue is that we got a lot of people with these. There's a difference. You got apartments are one thing, and then you got these residential units where these people own them, and you're seeing a lot of people that are couples that one couple, the man or woman, might have a mansion in Florida, and the other person just shows your Social Security form and is eligible for one of these houses. I view that a little differently than across the street. The guy's going to propose 100 units for an apartment per zone, and he's going to have about 6 or 7 affordable housing units, but that's an apartment. So I would never ask to buy those out.
Supervisor, can we make this a discussion so the entire public can hear what we're talking about?
I'm just bringing it up. Just bringing it up.
I know, we'll
Okay,
talk about it.
you said you wanted to
more.
talk to us individually. I'm just
I will,
asking that-
he asked a question.
I know, I'm just asking that it become a discussion for the board, so that
It'll be a
everybody-
discussion item if I see that there's any chance that it can go forward.
Well, I just think the public is entitled to transparency.
And that this is the most transparent government probably in New York State.
Okay, let's make it an
So,
item.
you know,
Let's
just-
make it an
just-
item for
just-
discussion.
Just amazing transparency.
Getting back to the harmony of the season.
Yes. Like, if there's any information, if there's any information that Toll Brothers could provide in terms of more updated,
I am.
I really apologize for, usually, I like to be the most prepared in the room, and I didn't realize this was going to be
No,
there.
neither
so,
do we.
So if there's any other information that would help the discussion or whatever it may be, let me know, and I can get it to you.
Mr. Gabby, you have his email? You took
Oh, yeah.
Just give us whatever, give it to Mr. Gabby, and he'll get it through me, and I'll talk to the board members.
Okay, great.
MrToll.com.
I know your name, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you. Good to see you. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays to everybody watching. It was an exciting year. Next year hopefully be just as exciting. So next town board meeting is what, January what?
January 5th.
January 5th, clerk?
5th.
7th? 5th?
Let's just make it up.
January 5th?
No, January 4th.
Oh, I was right.
What is it?
4th.
January 4th? Come on, guys.
It's the 4th.
January 4th is our next meeting, which will be the reorganizational meeting. Thank you for watching. Happy holidays. There is no executive session, and Carmen will
Gonna ring the bell?
bring us out. Make a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. God bless America.
God bless.
Gotta have fun once in a while.
Yay.